Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores, or I go to estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I look for things that I find interesting, or that I think you'd find interesting, and then I bring them home and try and find out as much as I can about them, and then I tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got today. I've got something kind of shiny. This amazing... It's quite big. It's quite a big bowl, and it's Carnival glass. Has a really amazing iridescence to it. It's incredibly strong iridescence. The impressed underside is even more impressive. The iridescence just gets picked up really amazingly by the raised pattern. It is very, very pretty. You can also see that it's got these little hexagon patterns essentially around the edge. I've already run my hand all the way around. Cannot find any flea bites, no cracks, no chips, no nothing. I've done the same here. My hand can feel absolutely nothing. It is intact, and it's quite heavy. It's very, very big, very heavy, like serving plate. So, okay, I was guessing when I actually picked this up. I bought this for $5 in a thrift store, and the first thing I thought is this is probably 1970s reproduction Carnival glass. It's probably by Indiana Glass, but I liked it enough, and I thought it was unusual enough that it was worth buying for $5 just so I could, you know, find out about it. So anyway, let's measure it up. It is a little over 10 inches. I'm going to say like at the absolute widest point, say 10.5 inches. And it is about, if I'm eyeballing here, just about 1 3/4 inches high. So really sizable. I mean, I don't know if you call it like it's a serving platter, tray, plate, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a shallow bowl. I don't think it really it's not quite deep enough to be a bowl. It is very, very nice. Obviously, there's this pale amber glass, and it has this absolutely incredible iridescence to it. And the interesting thing about this one is that you can see here right in the middle that there's a patch where the iridescence didn't actually take. If you don't know Carnival glass, well, essentially the way that they make it is that they take the piece, they put it into the mold and press the glass and obviously create the actual form itself. And then they take it out of the mold, and while it's still hot, they spray it with chemical salts, and it produces this amazing iridescence as the piece actually cools. It's something I didn't actually know about until I did some reading on Carnival glass, and I didn't realize that was actually the way they did it. This is not like a coating or something. This is actually part of the surface of the glass. But for whatever reason, right there in the middle, I mean, they must have missed. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before on a piece of Carnival glass. So the interesting thing about this one is that I picked it up and I thought, it's probably Indiana. And here's the thing. The hive mind definitely does think it's Indiana. And not only that, the hive mind also thinks that it's Diamond Point. Now, I said before about the way that Google can be a bit of a dick, and it can sometimes, like, essentially you're relying on the hive mind of the internet being accurate. And here's a few kind of examples of, like, essentially I started looking for Indiana Carnival glass, and I was looking for bowls and ruffles and what kind of, and I started looking for things like Diamond Point, and I quickly got these examples that are very clearly the same bowl. I was right, at least in thinking that everybody assumes that it's Indiana glass, and everyone says Diamond Point. And here's the problem. Obviously, I have my reference book, and here we go again. A Century of Indiana glass. I think I mentioned at one point that this is actually from like the 90s, and I ended up properly reading this. It's, there you go, copyright 2005. So a little bit more recent than I was thinking for whatever reason. I don't know why I got into my head that it was from the 90s. But anyway, so this is the reference for Diamond Point. Okay, now here's the thing. They have all of these pieces listed here. There's nothing that fits this bill. This is 10.5 inches across. It's obviously it is a serving tray. It's a platter of some kind. And if you actually look down the list, there's nothing that fits it. Like, there's a dinner plate, the plate that's sandwich. It doesn't have any cake sandwich. I'm assuming that's smaller than that. There is really nothing. There's the tray, the hostess tray, 12 inches across, relish is something there. I'm actually not entirely sure what 3-part or 5-part is. Again, we don't have a reference here in the picture, so who knows. But like, this is kind of why I say that the measurements are actually important, and it's important to, I do that every single video, is that measurements can tell you, you know, whether something is actually the correct for, you know, the listing, correct for the size. So here's our problem. It's not here. And I don't think it's, like, it's still probably a diamond point of sometimes, but you can see that the pattern just doesn't quite line up. Now, this is not diamond point, by the way. This is daisy and button or something. This is diamond point. Now you can see the different pieces here. They have this pattern. They don't have this. This is actually a button pattern, not daisy and button. That's flowers there or whatever. But if you actually know cut class, you know that daisy and button is something that shows up, and that's what this is. Or at least that's as far as I can remember, that's what that is. So essentially the pattern has elements of diamond point, but it's not diamond point. It's not. The pattern is different just because it doesn't have these elements here, and especially on the rim. So now begs the question, what exactly have we got? Because it seems like the hive mind is wrong. Well, thankfully I've got reasonably good Google foo. What I came up with was this. This is Carnival Hostess Worldwide. And collector's facts, Chunky, aka Service 2266, aka English Holland Button, Sowerby. I've never heard of this company, obviously. This is a little bit of information. You can see that this bowl obviously looks very familiar to what we've got right here. And a couple of little kind of a, you know, bit of information here. Now, the problem here is that the sizes are wrong as well. 8 to 9 inches, 6 to 7 inches for bowls, large and flat. Yeah, bit of a problem. And you can see that there is actually a catalogue here of this particular service, and oh yeah, there we go. A little bit more information. Where is it now? 1907. Made on and off right through the 1960s. Tableware established this pattern. Sowerby's production line. I can't actually remember where Sowerby's is from. If I can find more information, I'll put it down in the description. So, if we scroll down, what do we find? Well, there you go. That's our old friend Indiana back. The Hostess pattern. In the 1970s, Indiana Glass produced a version of Sowerby's Chunky, which they called Hostess, and it's often mistaken for the original and vice versa. And there you go. There's the entries from the catalogue. And the important thing here, crimped Hostess plate, 10-inch diameter. That is basically this. I'm allowing half an inch or whatever because these little things kind of stick up, and I can, you know, I can measure both ways. Essentially from the edge of that little rim across, but if you measure it from here, it's 10 inches. So there we go. Size matters, but size is identifying. But yeah, so there we go. Crimped Hostess plate, and it gives you a little bit of information here about it. They were sold in very large numbers. It's in the iridescent gold glass. And it also tells you how do you spot the difference between Sowerby's Chunky and Indiana's heirloom patterns. Just so you know, heirloom is not actually in a century of Indiana glass either. So the Indiana glass examples are found in gold, blue and lime green for the larger size up to 10-inch bowl, and blue for the rare small size bowl. Excellent. We know that at least this was definitely produced in the correct colour, in the correct size. There are also small differences in the iridescent patterns, and the iridescence on Indiana is very vivid and very distinctive. And Indiana has this. Sowerby did not have that button in the middle of the flower in the center. Indiana does. And what do we see? Yeah, there we go. What we have is Indiana glass. As you can probably tell from the title of this video. But anyway, this is how I actually arrived at the conclusion about what this actually was. The best reference, of course, that we have is the actual catalogue pages themselves that describe the actual size, with the original box here to show that it is actually, that's exactly what it is. And extra information about like how to distinguish between the two. Fabulous for our purposes, I have to say. Now, there's a little bit more information about Sowerby themselves. I'm going to put that down as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay, but actually, before I get ahead of myself, what is this actually worth, considering what people believe it to be? Bearing in mind, it's not really enough to know that this is like the Hostess pattern. You kind of have to know what people think it is in order to get a gauge of how much it's actually worth. Because people are selling it under the name Diamond Point. Yeah, So if we take a look, you can see the different prices here. And they were kind of a bit all over the place. From Canadian, they're like up to, there we go. Let's say they're going to be, say, $20 to $30 for the plate, which is not bad. Considering I spent $5 on it, I think I'm pretty sure I'm going to make my money back. But let's say, let's go up here and put in Hostess instead. Yeah, and it's kind of not quite the same. There's only a couple of entries. We've got this one here, which is kind of similar. We've got this one here, and that says 1950s, which is, we know is incorrect. It's from the 1970s. And yeah, it's like this, like we suddenly start getting different entries. And now we're not so sure of the price. It's good, obviously, that we have the information. We now definitely know what it is. But it seems that there are far more of these that are being sold under the name Hostess. Or sorry, there's far more that are being sold under the name Diamond Point. Obviously, it's still a Hostess bowl. I would say that actually for listing this, I'm probably going to maybe list it on Etsy or eBay. I will sell it for about $30 plus the shipping. And the most important thing is that I'll probably have to put in keywords to do with Diamond Point and Hostess and essentially like the name of the Sowerby's pattern, Chunky, and a few other things, just in case all of those keywords actually matter. And, you know, kind of hope based on that people can actually find it. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it was good that I found this, and I think it's an interesting example of, first of all, how the hive mind can be wrong. And second of all, how you still have to pay attention to that because they're kind of the ones setting the market price on this. Yeah. So, I've got to knock the camera. It is what it is. I'm still kind of happy I found this. I still find it strange that it's not actually in the reference book in A Century of Indiana Atlas, but you know, what can you do? I still like it. So this is my small joyful thing for the day. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.